All right, everybody. So, my question is, do you think modern women have what it takes to be a proper wife to a masculine man? Why or and why not? And I'm going to start with Mr. He Said.
Um, my answer is going to be no, only because masculinity has a toxic title that goes along with it. Hold on, I think I hear a little bit of an echo. I'll be right back. I'm sorry about that. Yeah, just the phrase toxic masculinity is just, the classic confident, uh, intuitive, resourceful, that that type of a man is not accepted in society anymore because of maybe his demeanor, the way he's perceived. So I don't think that it can exist because of the level of cooperation that it requires to coexist with a man of that aptitude is going to be a little hard for a modern woman. So I'm going to go with no. That's my final answer.
Okay. And I want to and I'm going to go to the next person. I'm going to say I don't think toxic and masculinity goes together. I just think women don't like the things that masculinity brings as far as accountability and order. I don't see masculinity as toxic at all. So that's my 2 cents. Miss Johnson, go ahead.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Yes. Do you think modern women have what it takes to be a proper wife to a masculine man? Why or why not?
Once again, I'm going to put it on me. Do I think that I do have it? Absolutely. I've been a single mom. I know what it's like. I've been married too. And, I've had to learn from, my mistakes, heal myself, the parts that needed to be healed, and keep it going.
Okay. So you're saying no or yes? You're saying,
I'm saying yes for myself, yes.
okay, you're saying yes, you think you have what it takes to be a proper wife to a masculine man.
I do.
Okay. Okay. How about you, Miss Ashley?
Well, in the sense of the word or the term, as it's used by a lot of men, I would say no. A lot of women haven't learned to be wives. They haven't seen wives. They haven't seen healthy marriages. So I would say no. I would say um, not as, not in the ways that you guys describe modern women. I would say that if you're talking about like, what we often see like in entertainment, on social media, I would say no. Are there women who, if you think modern just means a woman who lives at this day and age, who's, you know,
Yes, that's what I'm referring to. Because I would consider myself a modern woman. I'm married. We have traditional values in our home, and I'm a traditional woman, but I'm still modern. So yes, ma'am. In today's
well,
age,
I think some do. I would say most don't. Yeah.
okay, hmm. Okay, good answer. Because you said women, girls aren't taught to be wives. They don't see wives. They aren't raised by wives. Okay, good answer. How about you, Rick?
My bad, for that. That was muted. No, I don't believe. I believe there's probably only like 5% of women on the planet that can deal with me, and that's because not just about me being demanding, but I have expectations that not anybody can just be here and receive what they're gonna get. The level of protection I'm gonna give them, a level of love, care, they're not worth it, and and that's not and that's not really not to knock anybody. It's just protection comes with authority and control. And if you can't be controlled, if you can't be commanded, ordered around, I can't deal with you because it means I can't make sure you're safe because you ain't gonna do what I have to tell you. Most women don't
But
want to live.
Rick, but Rick's submission is slavery.
Yeah,
What you
exactly.
mean?
Exactly. That's how they do it. Like it's slavery. As soon as I hear it's slavery, I already know. Yep, you're not fit. You can't even deal with it because you throwing that word around, making it seem like a bad thing that I care about you. Like, oh my gosh, you got shackles on me. Well, okay. Well, if it's a bad thing, then it's a bad thing for you to even be in a relationship with somebody. So, yeah, man. No, I don't think women are fit for it at all. Not today's women. And really, yeah, they're not fit. It's just at the end of the day because it's too many. Like they say, and I don't want to repeat the talking points, but you know how they say like it's too many comforts women have today where they don't feel like they need a man physically, nor do they feel like they need a man. Really, if you ask women what they want, they don't say, I want a man that's got good character, that has good values, it's going to be a good father. You never hear that shit. The only thing you hear is how much money he got, what can he do for me, what's his shoe size, and, goofy stuff that ain't got nothing to do with nothing. So, it is what it is.
Okay. Great point. And I like to go back to what Miss Ashley said. She said women don't know how to be wives, they aren't taught how to be wives, and they aren't raised by wives. But there's so much technology and resources out here, ladies, that you can use in order to learn how to be feminine, how how to become a wife. And no, submission is not slavery, ladies. There is power in submission. When a woman flows within her femininity and she is with a masculine man, in return he provides so much more than just his pocket. He provides, as Rick mentioned, security. He provides provision. He provides comfort within that relationship. But how about you, Roberto? Do you think that modern women have what it takes to be a proper wife to a masculine man? Why or why not?
No, they don't, because modern women are very selfish. In order to be a modern woman, you have to be selfish. As you can see, usually with modern women, their career comes first. Everything comes first. Not even childbirth comes first. Most of the modern women that you see usually have no children. You can see it even with our Black celebrities, they have no children. Whenever a woman becomes very ambitious, the further away she comes from her role as far as God intended. So they can't be a proper wife, because being a wife means being unselfish, sacrificing, putting your family before you. So they can't do it.
Okay. I'd like to emphasize a word that you used, Roberto: selfish. I'd like to not necessarily argue, but for lack of a better term, I like to argue that it is in a woman's feminine nature to be selfish. So with that, how can a man deal with a woman's natural selfishness, although she may be feminine? She just needs to work on that particular thing in her character and in her nature.
You kind of have to be a little bit beta, and you kind of have to let them have their way. Modern women can be wives, but they have to make a little adjustment with the attitude.
Boom.
Because it's a lot of beta men out here that's willing to make them wives, but that instinct of them wanting an alpha male kicks in, but the two don't mix at all. So this is where they clash at. So if women would kind of accept the simps and the beta males as they come, the modern women could actually have a life with them because they're more compatible.
Okay. Those roles within the household.
Yeah, they could have a marriage with those guys, but if they want an alpha male, it's not going to mix. Somebody's going to have to compromise. So,
okay. How about you, sir? The host. AR, what do you think?
I think you can say it's natural for them to be selfish until they become a mother, right? Because then the nurturing is supposed to kick in. Even during today's time, naturally that's supposed to kick in. And if she wants to be married, because she's married. I mean, if she wants to get married, most men are not going to. Any man with common sense won't propose to a woman that is about her. But I think they no. A modern woman does have what it takes to be married, but for the most part, the issue is that they don't want to marry a modern man. They don't want to. They don't want a man that is consistently on his phone, having access to all these women. I'm not saying sexual, but just access to a lot of different women, roaming free, stuff like that. And they don't. They want to be like that, but they don't want that from their. They don't want that, and just like even a modern man, he doesn't. For the most part, he doesn't want his woman be on there. For some reason, all these women, they ass is out every picture. Like they'll show their ass in the gym and put a motivational quote. So, but I think that they want to live the lifestyle of marriage, but the issue is that their life is consistently given into a lot of temptation. Me as a married man, I can't live a lifestyle of being around too much temptation. That's all they do is just, your ass is supposed to be, aren't you a woman? Aren't you married? Your ass is supposed to be home. Fucking not home for. I'm not saying all the time, but damn, when do the kids eat? Golly. So that's why I think they can be, but if they'll be more successful at marriage if they would accept a modern man. A modern man doesn't know how to change a tire. Okay, he has roadside assistance for that. So that's what I think.
Okay. My answer is more so along the lines. See, I say yes, but also on the flip side of that coin is what Ashley said. A lot of women aren't taught because they're raised by women who aren't wives, or they're raised also by masculine women. In this case, it's typically the single mother. But I do think modern women have what it takes if they're willing to compromise, because a lot of them want the quote unquote traditional man, based on what we've said earlier, provide, protect, all this and all that, but they're not willing to compromise for that masculine man. They're not willing to enter under the authority and respect that man, that masculine man. So I think modern women can be wives and have what it takes, but they have to be willing to adjust to that man's system and order. Any last thoughts before I move on to the next question? All right, let's keep going. So according to the United States Census Bureau, among young adults, that being 18 to 24, cohabitation is up and marriage is down. Do you think today's young couples fear marriage, or do they think or they don't think it makes sense in today's socioeconomic climate? I say again, do you think today's young couples fear marriage, or they don't think it makes sense in today's socioeconomic climate? I will start with you, Roberto.
Yes, I don't necessarily think they fear it. I don't even think they even think about the other thing. I think these kids just want to be sexually free. I think the women want to be sexually free. The young kids, the young boys want notches on their belt. If any young lady wants to get married, they need to consider older men, because that's where older men are at. Young boys, they're not ready yet, and because they don't have many fathers in the homes nowadays, they're very late to becoming men. They usually don't become men until after 35. So I don't think it's either one of those. I think they just want to be sexually free. That's it.
Okay, I think that is a very, very good perspective from a more wise man. I like that. How about you, Mr. He said?
That's a dope question. My answer is gonna be a little different. They probably will give you the second answer, that it doesn't make sense in this socio-economical world that we live in. But the reason they give you that is because honestly, it's the first answer. They scared. I say it all the time. It's self-preservation. It's the first rule of life, is to take care of yourself. And I don't think they have what it takes or understand what it takes to grow and have a union with someone for 30, 40, 50, 60 years. And one of you, no longer continue to be here. And the other person has to continue to walk strong in the legacy that you built, continue to raise the kids, continue to, again, just live out this legacy. I don't think they're built for that. They come up with all the reasons why it's not acceptable and palatable for them, from the struggle love to, I heard somebody on the panel say today, like what really does it mean. But I would ask DMX girlfriend that. I would ask PNB Rock's girlfriend that it's not about the paper per se. It's about the security that I provide. And that's what these people don't understand. It's not about love and happy. It's about honor, duty, and responsibility. And Mrs. Harris has a peace of mind that if Mr. Harris no longer, God forbid, is not here, we don't got to go through who's getting what and let's call this person and that. No, Mrs. Harris has all the say so. You got to go through Mrs. Harris to do whatever. She's the best person. She's my lawyer, not a legal aid, a lawyer. She's going to ask all the right questions. She's going to make all the right objections. She's not signing a DNR. She's asking the doctor questions and, probing questions and follow-up questions. A girlfriend ain't doing that. A girlfriend is, you had a heart attack. She going in your safe. She taking whatever you got in there and she's on to AR. So she could do the same thing over again, wash, rinse, and repeat. They don't even understand that it's a lack of, discipline. It's a lack of maturity when you can just walk out the door and say, this is over. I'm out of here. It's over. There's no recourse. There's no consequence. It's just over. I quit you. But we can't do that. We got to be separated for a year. We got to give the judge a legitimate reason. And then we can go on and talk about divorce. So those measurements put in place to make her walk at ease, to let those questions for her and my children to know what happens to the finances and things and so on after the fact, even though some people are just, hang their hat on, okay, so you guys are planning for the worst. But again, it's not about that. It's about the security and how she can walk as an honorable woman. That's why it's called making an honest woman out of somebody, because she can walk now as an honest woman, knowing things are set in place and taken care of in case things happen. And I think that's the difference. And I think they are absolutely scared of that. That takes commitment, dedication, and a lot of other mature words that they're not ready for.
That was put excellently. I'm not going to add anything to that. Thank you, sir. But I do want to point out something that Roberto said. He had said something about dating or being with a man who is older, because typically older men are ready for marriage. And I agree. My husband is 8 years my senior, not that much older, but that's definitely something I ran into myself personally. And the data does actually back that up. Based on the data, it's the younger people, they basically would cohabitate and basically never get married. But the older the age groups get, they'll basically say, yeah, I'll cohabitate, but we'll eventually get married. So I can definitely agree with what Roberto said, for sure. How about you, Miss Ashley? What's my question? Do you think today's young couples fear marriage, or do you think they think it doesn't make sense in today's socioeconomic climate?
It's hard for me to say. I'm not really sure. I wonder myself. But I think that just from their actions, they probably don't value marriage. I think that we expect them to value something or want them to value something that they just haven't been taught to value. Mom was single, dad wasn't around. They didn't see marriages, people working together. And now I think that a lot of young people like older people, are lustful. You know, they're thinking about sex and they're not thinking about family and love and marriage. And so they can get all of that. They can get the lust and the sex without being married. So I just don't think they value it. I can't say they're scared of it. I don't think they value it enough or desire it enough to be scared of it. I'm not quite sure. As far as men and women and like when they should marry, I think over here is the only culture where we say men should wait until they're like in their mid-30s. Other cultures don't do that. Like Indian culture doesn't do that. Middle Eastern culture doesn't do that. You usually have a few years between the husband and wife, but we're really the only ones that do that, you know, teach the girls one thing and the boys, oh, wait until you're 35. If you study Indian culture, if you study Middle Eastern culture, their men get married young, and the wife and the husband, no matter how young they are, it's the truth. It's the truth. No matter how young they are, they just fight through the hard times. They have growing pains, as people used to say. And they get through it, but they also have support. They have a culture that shuns divorce, you know, so they have more incentive and support and more of a foundation to keep going, even though they were very, very young.
Yeah. I did want to say something now.
Yes, sir.
Those type of cultures you name, a lot of those guys in their 30s marrying just, and I'm going to be nice people on this panel, just barely 18.
I think that was like just long ago, though. Even in the Americas, they used to happen. But marriage.
I mean, in India, how much does a house cost in India? 2 cents, $1 American dollar. So that's probably like you know, that's probably.
Well, you're talking about from a financial standpoint. Like, yeah, over here it's harder for men.
Men can't provide. The average black man makes $47,000 a year. He can't afford. He's barely taking care of himself.
Yeah, I'm more so talking about the mental and emotional readiness of marriage. That's what I'm talking about. Obviously, like our culture and our society, our government, you know, makes it very difficult for the average young man to provide and be ready financially for a family. I'm more so meant like based on how you were raised. It's so different like in other cultures, like gypsy culture, like they actually live with the groom's or the husband's family for about 3 years before they even go out on their own. And so like they get more support and foundation. Like we don't get that, you know?
Not only that, but Indians and Middle Eastern, they don't move out on their own. They're 30, they're with their family. It's like they got great grandma, grandma, aunt, cousin, and then the wife and husband, they're all up in there, same house. And then when they become that financial, I mean, when it gets to a point where it's just like, okay, the money's there and everyone else is taken care of, then they start going their own way. But for the most part, you know, I come from a culture when you're 18, get the fuck out. I gotta live my life. I've been a single mother all the time. It's time for me to start living my life. That's where I'm from, you know.
And one more thing, because we are so sexually free here in America, they usually advise young boys in America to get it out your system first. That's why. That's why I say that younger women should date older men, because young guys just don't have that in their mindset right now.
Okay, fair. Good answers. Ashley, I appreciate your perspective, because it always comes back to the family. It always comes back to the foundation, which which I can definitely agree with, because if you see it, you're more than likely to essentially repeat it. And that can be a good thing or a bad thing. But I love how you said they don't value marriage. In a Western world, no, I can definitely agree that marriage isn't as valued, and it's definitely spoken against, and it's spoken about negatively. And then social media in of itself does not help at all, along with these housewives shows and all the love and hip hop shows that we love to watch and that's popular. It doesn't help. So I really appreciate that perspective, as well as everyone else's. All right, Miss Johnson, go ahead. Do you think today's young couples fear marriage, or do you think that they don't think it makes sense in today's socioeconomic climate?
I think it's so different from when I was raised. And I come from the Dominican Republic, and my upbringing was really traditional. Like, the first person that you blink your eyes, that's the person you marry. And long-term relationships, that was the goal. But in my interactions, with young people, I see that there's just an openness, an opportunity, and I hear the word situationships from them. That's where I learned that word. I don't think that there may be a priority to get married. Their priorities are different. And, anybody can sit here and debate their priorities, but it is what it is. And after you mentioned the word value, that's it. I think that that's key. It's what people value. Like, what I value, you guys may not value, and vice versa. And so I think, once again, it's just the openness, the opportunities, and the culture has changed. It's completely different than me growing up.
And then also another thing that Ashley mentioned and others was the support as well from the family. That definitely does, I think, play a part in, because at the end of the day, if you don't see it, if you don't have the support, you're likely to stray away from it, if you will. Any final thoughts before my last question?
Well, I'll answer real quick. I think that
Yes, ma'am.
I think it falls because, like I was saying earlier, I think women give up too much during the. I think they give it up before it even turns into a relationship. It's just like, I didn't even go on a date yet, and men are just fools. They're stupid. They'll fall for it's a trap. They'll fall for it, and I always put everything on the men because lack of leadership. Just because she's given it doesn't mean you have to take it. But men, they don't. A lot of times, listen, when it turns like this, at night, it don't matter. They win it. I'm not even whatever. It don't have to be whatever, right? And that's part of the reason. So I think that lack of leadership. I think older men fear marriage. Younger men don't fear marriage. It's just like it doesn't make sense.
Okay, you think it doesn't? You think young couples don't think it makes sense?
It just doesn't make sense, and I think it doesn't make sense because I don't believe, if you're not married, I don't believe you should be given oral sex, because that is very special to men. And if you're given that before marriage, why the hell would he marry you? Him having access to sex from you all the time like that, as if he's as your husband. Once you give a man sex unlimited, marry for what? What's the difference between me marrying you? If I marry you, what's the difference?
Yeah.
Besides paperwork. So that's my take on that.
Okay.
And the men.
Okay.
And I think that traditional cultures, they just hold the man and the women equally accountable to stuff. That's why the marriages are stronger with other cultures, because they don't sugarcoat anything. They don't baby the woman over the men. They just hold everyone accountable. They have no problem with shaming. They will look down on you if you're not living right. They will do that. And that's the difference.
It plays into faith. I think, especially in the Western world, we have so many different spiritual and religious beliefs. But essentially, I see it as we live in a godless society. I mean, you can argue that statistically most people claim to be Christian, but who's actually living the life,
Yeah.
that Christians are supposed to live? And do they uphold the moral compasses that Christians believe in? I'm not saying that Christians are the only people who have morals. I'm not saying that, but I think it comes down to faith, because within faith there are standards. Within
Yeah.
faith there is some type of shame and expectation. So when you take that out of the equation, that's what I think equates to fear. That's what equates to sexual immorality, and essentially what we see in today's Sodom and Gomorrah.
Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. So based on your opinion, and I think Mr. He said mention this or kind of alluded to this earlier in his answer, but based on your opinion, who does marriage benefit more, men or women? And whoever wants to answer, go ahead.
I say women. They don't have to come in with anything, and they can definitely leave with more than what they had. And in other ways, it benefits them. It gives them security. It takes them off the market to be in a position to get more trauma with single men. They definitely need to so-called sit their ass down somewhere when it comes to women, basically. And I think that's one benefit for men. If you're just running the streets, not getting anything done, I think marriage will actually make you become a man. It will make you get your priorities straight. But I definitely think it benefits the woman more, especially if the man has a lot to lose. The women, they can get paid for just leaving the marriage. They can get compensated very well, and that's turned into a hustle almost with rich men. So definitely women.
Okay, Miss Ashley, you can go ahead and go. I know you said you're going to have to leave soon, so you can go ahead and answer the question. Based on your opinion, who does marriage benefit more, men or women?
Well, I've had this conversation a few times, and men are very adamant that women benefit more. But usually when they talk about the benefits, they always talk about the fact that women are often rewarded alimony or the primary custody of the children after a divorce. And so I hear that, and I can understand why men say marriage benefits women more based off of that, because unfortunately, like Roberto was saying, a lot of women are using it as like a hustle now, like they're more so with wealthier men, but they're using that. Like I think about Cam Newton's girlfriend, she was popping those babies out, and to me, I saw it. I don't know why he didn't see it, but she was popping those babies out because she knew for every baby there was going to be a paycheck, So I get why men say that they benefit more, but I see that more so as greater risk. I think men have a greater risk when it comes to marriage. However, the benefits, I would say, just based off of some of the studies that we've seen time and time again about married men living longer, being healthier, and being wealthier, I would say they benefit more. That's not the case with married women. So it really just depends on your your measure of judgment.
Okay.
Like what you're using to measure that. If you're looking at health benefits, men benefit more. And that's been proven again, time and time again. If you're looking at like what Roberto was saying, security, women benefit more. So, yeah. And then we have to remember, it also depends on the people getting married.
True.
It really does. And what they offer, what they're coming with.
Okay. Great answer. You always give like this lovely feminine answer. Great answer. Thank you. How about you, AR? Hostess with the mostest. What do you think?
I think they both benefit. If two people marry the right people, I think they both benefit equally in different ways, right? As far as for a man, I'm in New York City, urban community, and I know a lot of men work and marriage keeps them out of prison, right? Keeps them out of trouble. Keeps them, so that's just the men that I have in my circle who done some time, or they avoided a lot of different situations. Why? You look at Takeoff. Was it Takeoff that passed away? The Migos group. Offset.
Was it Takeoff?
Oh, yeah,
I can't remember.
Yeah, he took off. Yeah, so Takeoff was the Takeoff and Quavo.
Oh man,
it's three.
Hey yo, bing bong.
Yeah, I'm like,
all right. Listen, there's three of them in the group. Don't matter. Let me see. Did I go out?
Hey, well,
can y'all see me?
Yeah,
you
out.
Yeah,
you did for a second. Yeah.
You
right.
Stop talking about that boy.
The only one. Listen. If you're doing hood nigga shit, I'm not gonna sit up here and be like, no, it happens every day. Urban communities, it's every day. Okay, you out doing dumb shit too. Like I think a few women got shot as well. 2:30 a.m. What are you doing outside with a bunch of dudes? Playing CeeLo. CeeLo?
Yeah.
Come on. And I'm sure they had kids. Who's raising your children? But I think that marriage and children and work keeps men out of a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
Keeps men out.
Mm-hmm.
Every time a man gets arrested, look at the prisons, black men. When they got arrested, they wasn't at work. Very rare that they're not at work. They're not at work. And it's not their day off. They ain't got no job. So, but I think that modern women probably benefit more during marriages. But I think if it's a healthy balance, men are happy being married to the right person. Right.
Okay.
Just make sure you have cameras. If she's a stay-at-home mom, make sure there's cameras in the crib. No Amazon, because Amazon been getting caught. Amazon been getting caught. But anyway, I'm done.
You crazy. So you saying these men are like Craig? He got fired on his day off. They went to jail on their day off, huh?
I don't think it was their day. They wasn't working. I don't think they had a job. They didn't have a job.
I like how you said AR. You said marriage gives men purpose, so he's not gonna get in trouble. Yeah. I like that. Marriage gives a man purpose. How about you, Rick? Who does marriage benefit more, the man or the woman?
I'm normally not on the fence, so I'm normally straight up, gonna go one or the other. But I do like what he said at the end. For modern, in the modern days time, marriage benefits women more by far. It's not a question. But it's the purpose of it was to benefit the man, because if biblically speaking, the helpmeet was supposed to actually help him become a better man, enhance him. And what I mean become a better man is be better what he is. Because no matter what, a woman is going to make a man. If a man's a drug dealer, she's going to make him the kingpin. You know what I'm saying? If he's a role player on an NBA team, he's going to become a starter or an all-star. You know what I'm saying? So y'all get my gist. He's going to become better at what he is. She always enhances him if she truly supports him. Now, the purpose, like I said, who is married supposed to benefit more? It's supposed to be the man, because she's created for him. That's literally her purpose. You go to 1 Corinthians 11, it talks about the woman was created for the man. So
she sure
again,
was.
we love that she was. Well, again, I know a lot of these brothers out here, and that you see out in these streets they're a little sweet, so they talking a little. They be a little extra on the, and it goes from being upset at how women carry themselves to hatred, and it's like, ugh, come on, man. But the point is, marriage is supposed to be beneficial to us more, because, like you said, we're gonna live longer. Like you said, we live longer lives, we do better, and of course, we all know that a woman, again, if she's created for the man, we know she is not even supposed to function without man one. So a woman without marriage or without a covering, because not all women can be married, but every woman should be covered by a man. So even if
Yes.
she doesn't have a husband, she should have a man she answers to. I mean, a man that tells her what to do. I know women don't think it's supposed to be, but there was no such thing as an independent woman in the Bible. I've never read about her in the scriptures. If she's there, somebody please point
Nope.
her out to me. So
Because she ain't even
Well,
the woman
listen.
at the well. She ain't.
exactly.
Listen, Bella rings. Thank you for coming by. I know you
Thank
gotta
you
head
so much
out.
for having me.
Ashley, you
Yeah.
gotta head out as well, right?
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank you so
y'all.
much.
Always a
Thank
pleasure,
you for
Bella.
having me.
No
Good night.
problem.
Yeah,
Yo,
Ashley.
going on.
Hey, peace.
Have a good
Hey,
night,
I
buddy.
actually got to roll pretty. I can't even stay too long. I actually